boys and girls, I have another story to tell you about David, and so I'll just put my glasses on here. Okay. What? Oh, you're laughing at my glasses? Well, you know, they are very special glasses because they help me see things a little differently. You see, David had to see things differently too. He had a lot of things happening in his life that made him feel certain ways. And we're going to read about that in a little bit. But he had to look at things in his life through God's eyes so that he could obey God rather than doing what he felt like doing. That takes special eyes. We can call them looking through God's eyes. Okay, so let's read and find out what happens with David. Do you remember how David would practice playing his harp when he was out in the fields taking care of the sheep? Well, he got so good at it that when King Saul began having very bad days where he did not feel good, David would come and play his harp for Saul, and it would make him feel better. Now, Saul had a son whose name was Jonathan, and David and Jonathan got to be very best friends, almost like brothers. And God blessed David. David and Jonathan were both warriors, and whenever David would go out to fight, he would win. And people began to like David better than Saul, and you can see how Saul feels about that. This made him very jealous and angry. One day, Saul was so angry at David that he threw his spear at him. He tried to kill David, but David ran from Saul. Jonathan told David, "You must leave the city, David, and get away from my father." David was sad. He would miss Jonathan, but Jonathan said, "Don't worry, David, we will always be friends." Well, boys and girls, have you ever had a time where somebody was mean to you? Maybe they were jealous of you, like Saul was jealous of David. Or maybe for whatever reason they treated you badly. Did you want to get even with them? That's what David could have done. He could have said, "I'm supposed to be king anyways, and this man has no right to treat me that way, so I'm going to get even with him and hurt him back." No, David didn't do that. That's because David was using God's eyes instead of his feelings. I'm sure David might have had times where he got angry that Saul was trying to hurt him. But instead of focusing on that anger or on the hurt feelings that he had, he said, "I'm going to love this man because he is God's king at this moment in time. And I'm going to wait patiently for the time when God makes me king. And I am going to just trust God, and even if it means I have to run away," which he did do. He had to run away and hide. And you know what? One day when David was hiding in this cave from Saul, Saul came into the cave and he laid down and was resting. David crept up, and instead of killing Saul when he had the chance, he took his sword and cut off a little piece of Saul's robe. Saul never heard David, and Saul left the cave, and when he was partway down the mountain, David called out after Saul, "Saul, it's David. I could have killed you just now, and I didn't. You see, I'm for you. I'm not against you." That's because he had God's eyes. He knew that God wanted him to show love to Saul, even though Saul was trying to hurt him. Love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. And that's what David was doing, trusting God, obeying God, and loving his enemy, even though it was hard. So boys and girls, let's put on God's eyes so that we can treat others the way we want to be treated. That's right. All right. I love you, and I'll see you next time on Storytime with Nonie, when we'll find out how David gets to be king. All right. Bye-bye.